My name is Sylvia. I am 28 years old, and I work a creative position at a gaming company in New York. From the outside, it looks like I'm living an easy, peaceful life, but the truth behind the curtain is far more tangled. My family's situation is anything but simple. A year earlier, the company where my father had been employed suddenly went bankrupt. As a result, I stopped living alone and moved back to my childhood home, where my parents and my younger sister, Frida, still lived. Since then, the burden of supporting the entire household had quietly shifted onto my shoulders. Sylvia, Frida says she wants pork steaks for dinner tomorrow night. My mother casually began. Breaking the stillness of the evening, I let out a silent sigh. "Oh," I replied softly, "but we barely have enough left for groceries. We can't even afford pork loin right now. Could you maybe put a little more toward the food expenses?" My mother looked at me expectantly. "We've already used up the food budget for this month," I continued, frowning. "And the month isn't even halfway over." That was when Frida walked in and inserted herself into the conversation. "Big sis, you're just not contributing enough for groceries. What are you talking about?" I snapped back. "I'm already giving $3,000 every month. That should be more than enough." Frida let out an exaggerated scoff. "Big sis, prices have gone up. $3,000 doesn't cover a family of 4 anymore." My temper bubbled over. "Just 3,000? If you think it's not enough, how about you get a job and earn your own food money?" "It's not easy to find a job these days," my mother said sharply, jumping in to defend her. "You should understand and be patient with Frida." I bit back another sigh. Patient? My sister had been job hunting for over a year, but all she really did was laze around at home. And the money I provided, money meant to support the family, was often quietly being handed over to Frida as spending cash. "If it's so hard to survive," I said through clenched teeth, "why don't we sell this house and move to Mom's hometown? Maybe we could find work there and live more comfortably." "No." My mother shot back instantly, as if the suggestion offended her. "My grandmother ran a thriving Italian restaurant in Queens. If we lived there, we could help out at the restaurant. And at least we'd be guaranteed food, fresh pizza and pasta whenever we wanted." But because my grandmother was strict, especially about the craft of making pizza, my mother refused to go near the idea. My father would always say, "Why should we run to your grandmother for help? We're supposed to be supporting our own life. Depending on her is just being spoiled." I wanted to scream. Spoiled me, when I'm the only one earning money while my sister refuses to work. "I think Frida should at least find a part-time job," I suggested calmly. "She's already Lots of people work while job hunting." But my mother immediately objected. "No, Frida helps around the house. She doesn't have the time for a part-time job." "What?" I stared at her in disbelief. I've never once seen Frida doing housework. My father added proudly, "She clears the dishes after meals, does her own laundry, and sometimes even massages my shoulders." I felt heat rise in my cheeks. The tasks he listed were things even a child could do. Meanwhile, I woke up early every day to prepare breakfast for everyone, pack my father's lunch, manage our taxes, and cover nearly all financial responsibilities. Yet our parents had always put Frida on a pedestal. She had been the adored one since childhood. I wasn't unattractive, but Frida had always been considered more refined, more charming. Naturally, my parents treated her like royalty. One might think I should simply move out. But for complicated reasons that weren't easy to untangle, leaving wasn't something I could do just yet. So I endured the daily stress until something happened that made everything worse. Days passed, and I didn't realize at first that Frida had left the house entirely. I assumed she was out as usual. But when she didn't return the next day or the day after, I began to grow suspicious. One evening, as I returned home and was heading to my room, I heard my parents chatting in the living room. "I can't wait for the souvenirs from Hawaii," my mother said excitedly. "Frida must be having such a great time there," my father added. "Relaxing on the beaches, eating delicious food. She's so lucky." I stepped into the room, stunned. "Wait, what are you talking about?" "Frida is in Hawaii." "Yes," my parents answered casually. I blinked, trying to process it. But she doesn't have any money. How could she afford a trip like that? Oh, she won it in a sweepstakes, my mother said cheerfully. You know how Frida has always been lucky? A sweepstakes. Since when? I was baffled, but I let the explanation slide for the moment. The next day at work, my phone rang unexpectedly. It was a credit card company I rarely used. They informed me that over the past 3 days, my card had been used for several high-value transactions. My heart thudded. How much? I asked. $10,000, the representative said calmly. All within the past 72 hours. I instantly knew who had done it. I called Frida. What do you think you're doing? Explain yourself. Oh, hey, sis, she answered lightly. I thought you'd be calling to ask about souvenirs. Cut it out, I snapped. You used my credit card without my permission. Didn't you? She sounded completely unfazed. You noticed? Oops, my bad. My bad, I shouted. Do you realize unauthorized card use is a crime? It would be a problem if it was someone else's card, she said smugly. But we're family, so it doesn't really count. You should know that much, sis. How did you spend $10,000 in 3 days? Well, I paid for sightseeing, fancy meals, shopping, and transportation, she replied casually. And branded stuff is expensive, you know? Everything adds up. You spent over $10,000 for what? Souvenirs. Why are you so angry? She laughed. The card was about to expire. I figured you wouldn't mind. Anyway, I'll leave the bill to you. Then she hung up. I was speechless. Later that evening, when I got home, my parents rushed toward me. Double quotes, Sylvia. Welcome back, my mother said with panic. Why did you stop the card? Frida's stuck in Hawaii with no way to buy food. So what? I said sharply. Someone used my card without permission. Of course I stopped it. My sister had clearly panicked when the card was declined and had cried to our parents, who now expected me to fix everything. Your sister is overseas and suffering, my father said. Aren't you going to help her? Help, I repeated, incredulous. You still think it's okay for her to use my card just because we're family? She spent $10,000. How can you be so cold? My mother said, it's because of this attitude of yours that you never get to go on trips. She was going to buy souvenirs for us. What's wrong with that? You two seriously can't be saying this, I muttered. You sound delusional. Can't you be more considerate? My mother insisted. She's having fun for us, really? I whispered. You still think that after hearing this? I pulled out my phone and played the voicemail my sister had left me. Make the card usable, you miser. Mom and Dad's cards are maxed out, so I can't use those either. How useless can they be? Being stingy about giving me pocket money for a trip ridiculous? The moment the message finished, my parents' expressions crumbled. They hurried into their room to check their own cards. Within minutes, their panicked screams echoed through the house. When I rushed in, they were trembling with anger. I can't believe Frida used our cards too. My mother cried. She even took the bank book. My father shouted, how could she betray us like this? Oh, I said coldly. I thought you said she was being thoughtful buying souvenirs for you, enjoying the trip on your behalf. They ignored my sarcasm and whispered frantically to each other. But our savings are still okay, right? My mother muttered weakly. The moment they confirmed their own money was safe, their attitudes changed again. The disappointment in me grew even heavier. Why don't you increase the credit limit? I suggested mockingly, and let her enjoy herself more. Didn't you say she was doing it for you? That's impossible. My father cried. We're out of savings. We can't spare anything. What will we do? My mother wailed. Frida can't eat or drink anything now. Our house erupted in chaos. Then suddenly, my father knelt before me. Sylvia, please, we'll start over. We'll rebuild things. We'll support each other properly. Just help Frida. I stared at him. Everyone. I said, does that include me? My mother quickly knelt too. I'll change, she pleaded. I promise I'll stop doing wrong by you. I'll carry my weight and support the family. Just this once. Help her. Small, disbelieving laughs slipped out of me later. When they left the room to check something, I quietly reached into my drawer and pulled out a credit card I had found by chance, a card I had forgotten existed. Still valid, never used. "Why don't you give this card to Frida?" I said dryly when they returned. "And all of you enjoy a wonderful family trip together as well." I suggested my parents were thrilled with my words, and they immediately contacted my sister. They hurriedly prepared for the trip. While I reserved their flights to Hawaiian Line after watching the whole scene with a smile. I dialed a specific number 3 days later when my sister returned from Hawaii with our parents. "Frida said, big sis, thank you for letting us enjoy Hawaii. Oh, it's rare for you to come topic us up. Are you expecting souvenirs and fortune tea?" I didn't buy anything. It seemed they had thoroughly enjoyed their trip to Hawaii and had forgotten their gratitude to me. Just 3 days ago, after confirming this, I was ready to execute a plan I had been preparing and could hardly contain my excitement, it seems like. "You had a lot of fun. Was that, Phyllis, big moment of your life?" "What do you mean by last, actually? I've decided to sail the house on a whim. I've already shipped the belongings to the new place and arranged for someone to pick us Upus." I said this. My parents and sister were shocked and noticed the "for sale" sign posted on the entrance of our family home. "What is this? What does it mean? Did you really sell the house, Watts?" Going on in front of their astonished faces, I elaborated further. "Actually, a real estate agent who is a friend from my university was interested in this land and had been asking to sell house and land together for a while. I had always refused to sell because I thought maintaining this house, which was not built by our grandmother, was more cost-effective." Taking a breath, I continued. "However, I recently changed my mind. I realized that by selling this house and starting to live alone again, I could gain financial and mental freedom." Thoughts? "Why, while you guys were away, I confirmed my decision to sell with the real estate agent." "What, selling it on your own is illegal?" "That's right. This house belongs to Dad. There's no way you could do anything about it." My parents bid it vehemently, but I responded clearly. "Oh, you seem quite energetic about it, but what would you think if you knew that the house and land are actually registered to my name? What, Dad, do you remember when you came to me because you couldn't pay the taxes and I agreed to help on the condition that we'd change the registration to my name?" "Ah, that's right," continued the story. "I didn't leave this house because it was registered in my name. I was looking for a way to get you out of the house and sell it. It was difficult to find an opportunity. Bakuso were always home. However, the Chanchetto sale finally came when I sent you to Hawaii as planned. Everyone was out off the house, and I could finally sell the house in the land." Oh, as I mentioned it earlier, the luggage has already been sent to the new house, so don't worry, and the pickup should be arriving soon." "Pickup, yes. Grandma is eagerly waiting for everyone. She can't wait." "Hey, Grandma." "You mean Mom, correct?" After talking to Hirsch, agreed to take everyone into Noxum sense into you. She told me to send luggage. Everyone get ready for daily pizza making and cleaning. My parents and sister were shocked. "We can't go to Grandma's." "That's right. We don't want Togo." "I see. Well, you can do as you like, Beat. Without a house or jobs, how are y'all going to live? There's also the payment for that card. How are you going to pay such a large amount?" "What are you talking about? The card is in your name." "Ya thought it was in my name. Be careful, it's under a different name." I said, No way." My mother was startled. She took out a card I had given her and checked the name, losing color in her face. "Wait, this card is in Frida's name. The credit card he gave you was actually found in Frida's room. It was the first card she got when she started working, but she quit soon after, saying the job wasn't a good fight, and it seems she hadn't used it." "What, Fiv? Spent too much? What should I do about this?" "What should you do, Yawask, since it's your name on the card? Ya have no choice but to pay and make sure you earn enough to cover the stay, all of you, without causing trouble to Grandma." Frida resisted until the end, but our parents, having no other option, silently awaited Grandma's arrival. Accompanied by Grandma, they headed to her House and restaurant in Queens. They're under the strict guidance of Grandma and Thevatoran employees. They were taught toe work even as they shed tears. The $110,000 fraudulently charged to my card was repaid to me by Frida under Grandma's strict orders. Although I planned to settle everything by selling house and land, Grandma managed to recover the living expenses. I had paid previously and even took a portion of my prince's salaries to be transferred to Melitor. I moved to an apartment closer to me workplace and was able to start living alone again. The new life is going smoothly and I am enjoying peaceful days looking down at the city at dusk from the balcony. I felt relief from the long-felt pressure and a slight sense of loneliness at that moment. The phone rang in. I hesitated a bit when I saw Gramian. The display. Hello, Grandma, I answered, and she checked if I was doing well. Yes, fine, I replied. That's good. Actually, it's about Frida and the others. They are restarting to change significantly. Especially Frida, who has begun to actively help with work. It also seems that your parents are gradually afflicting, said Grandma. She continued, Sylvia. It must have been tough, I believe. Understand how you feel. Sometimes family can be a burden. Yet it is also something we should support. I hope you can forgive them someday. I listened to Grandma's words. Her voice carried hesitation and anxiety, but also as significant resolve. There's no rush. Take your time and think it over until your heart settles, Grandma said kindly. I nodded, deeply understood, Grandma. I'll take my time and reconsider everything. I recomplied and then quietly hung up the phone as I looked out the window at the urban landscape. The sun slowly set on horizon and the darkness of night gradually enveloped the city. In the quiet of the dusk, a whirlwind of emotions churned within me. While anger and sadness still lingered, a small spark of hope for the future had begun to emerge. Returning to my room, my eyes were drawn to a family photo. In the photo, Aong, Frida and I smiled along with Orparents, looking at those happy faces. I nostalgically remembered the joyful days of the past and thought if only we could return to those times, but reality quickly pulled me back. As time passed, my life gradually began to regain its old rhythm. At work, I was appointed Thelador of a new project and personally started to lead a fulfilling day-to-day life. One evening, after finishing the day's work, my cell phone suddenly rang, hesitating slightly at the unknown burr. I answered. Hello, this is Sylvia. It's me, Frida, came a voice different from the confident, arrogant tone of the past, now soft, yet unstable, unable to hide my surprise. I asked Frida, what's wrong? Did something happen? Sorry for calling out of the blue, actually. I want to meet you in person. I want to talk to you, Frida said quietly. Her words carried humility and a sense of growth that I could never have imagined from the old Frida. Why do you want to meet? I asked quietly, waiting for Frida's next words. Voice, though trembling, was calm and sincere, indicating her growth. Big sis, I want to apologize from the bottom of my heart. I felt that a phone call wouldn't sufficiently convey my feelings, so I want to meet you in person to truly and earnestly apologize. Her words were earnest, without interjecting. I quiet listened to her. If you feel it's difficult to meet me, that's okay too. Your feelings are what matter most to me, Frey continued. After a moment of silence, I finally spoke. All right, if that's thought. Let's meet next Saturday at 2 p.m. at the cafe in front of the station. Really? That makes me so happy. Thank you, big sis. Relief was evident in Freda's voice. After hanging up the phone, I took a deep breath for a while to sort out my emotions, despite questioning whether the choice I had just made was truly right. I harbored a hope that meeting her might change something. On the day of our meeting, I arrived at the designated cafe earlier than planned. Upon reaching the cafe, I could feel my heart racing, my chest tightening with a mix of anxiety and anticipation. As the clock's hands moved slowly and just a little past the agreed time, the cafe door opened slowly and Frida appeared. She looked different, with a simple yet earnest expression. Her face was without makeup, her attire simple, and most notably, her eyes conveyed a resolute change. She approached my table slowly, and began to apologize quietly, "Big sis. I am tremendously sorry." At that moment, I could physically feel her change and was momentarily unsure how to respond. "Frida began." And she continued her words, holding back tears while working at Grandma's house. "For the first time, I realized how much I had relied on you, how much I had taken you for granted. Finally understood how hard it has been for you, always suppressing your own desires to support us, the family." Freda, with tears streaming down her face, reflected on her past actions and repeatedly offered heartfelt apologies on the spot. Frida detailed how much she had relied on me in the past and the lessons she learned at our grandmother shows. Her story revealed many insights about her relationships with our parents and her self-awareness. I just sat quietly listening to her words. Each word seemed to dissolve the long-held anger and sadness in my heart. As her story progressed, I could feel the heavy emotions inside me gradually lightened. "Thank you, Frida. I've fully taken your feelings to heart," I said afterward. We talked about various topics for several hours. We had an open dialogue about recent events in our lives and the challenges we were facing. This time came a valuable step in rebuilding a relationship. As we parted, Frida handed an envelope with gratitude. The envelope contained money she had earned by working hard at our grandmother's house. "This is just the beginning, but I will do everything I can for," said. As I received the envelope, I felt her growth internally and my heart warmed. Months later, I visited my grandmother's house again and met my parents there once more. I was able to receive sincere apologies from them directly and could tell that they had grown just like Frida. That night, we were able to share a meal together as a family for the first time in a long while, and I truly felt the warmth of family again. I might not be able to forgive everything immediately. Seeing my family's efforts to move forward step by step gave me hope for the future. Before heading home, my grandmother gave me some profound words. "Sylvia, you have certainly become strong, but as important as that strength is, thickness you continue to hold. Remember that is the most important thing," she said. Hugged by my grandmother, I couldn't hold back my emotions and shed tears. I thought this might be the beginning of a new relationship with my family, and I felt the weight on my heart gradually lighten.